Hi there, it's Monica from Your New Dentist. I'm here today to answer some questions from our clients. What on earth made you want to become a dentist? What a great question. Dentistry kind of chose me. I didn't choose dentistry. I kind of wandered out of school at 18, had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I'm number 7 of 8 kids. I come from a, dare I say, poor working class background from the western suburbs of Sydney. My mum said to me, I remember that Christmas holiday, she said, well, I sort of expressed to her that I don't know what I want to do. And she said, well, you're not going to sit around on the lounge, go out there and get a job. And I'm like, okay. So I did. And I went on a bit of a job hunt and I found an ad for a dental assistant training on the job. And I thought, oh, that seems cool. I'll rock up and give that a go. And I quickly found that I actually really enjoyed it. There was something in it that just clicked. And I sensed in it that I really enjoyed helping people. It comes really naturally to want to help someone and be of service. And I guess that's a feminine thing, you know, as women, being of service is a big part of how we are programmed, for better or for worse. But I came to understand that it just seemed to make a lot of sense to me. I didn't find dentistry difficult. When I was encouraged by people around me to continue into further study, I just really kept walking through those doors. I was often surrounded by people who were older than me further down the road in their life's journey to me, and clearly they could see something in me that I couldn't see yet in myself, and I learned to trust that. So when they would make a recommendation, I'd sort of lean in and go, okay, well, cool. If you think I can do it, I'll give it a crack. So after dental assisting, I became a dental therapist. After that, I got a qualification in health science education. And then I used that to become a dentist. And I still remember the time. So I was working I've always worked really hard in my life. No one's ever paid my way. So I've often had multiple jobs going at one time, and multiple courses swirling around at any one time. And I still remember the point at which I had received a qualification, a master's in health science education, and I was working as a dental therapist during the day. So basically old school government community kids dentist. And on weekends, in order to pay my way through study and just survive the Sydney rental market in the early 90s, I had a second job working as a dental assistant to a specialist. And that specialist, his name was Graham, he became very much a mentor for me and a guide. And I remember the day he said to me, he said, Monica, so you've got a master's now, what are you going to do with it? And I just looked straight at him and I said, I don't know. And he said, well, I think you should become a dentist. And I'm like, what? I can't do that. I'm not smart enough. I'm not rich enough. There's no way known I could do that. And he just stared and he looked at me and he said, tell you what, do me a deal, make a deal with you. You just put in the application and we'll deal with the consequences later. And again, Braham was a dear mentor and a friend of mine of many years. So I took the plunge and I put in my application. So I guess this is a roundabout way of saying that dentistry kind of found me. And what I've come to understand, particularly as a woman, dentistry is a great job in terms of being able to earn a decent income and also giving you flexibility. So if you do want to come in and out of the workforce, that is completely doable. If you want to travel, that's completely doable. You can work in so many different environments, in so many different capacities. And for me, my innate sense of helping others is satisfied time and time and time again. I'm really deeply passionate about working alongside people who are vocationally passionate. They're not just in it for the money. And that's definitely one thing I'll say about dentistry. If you think it's a lucrative job, if you are in it in any way, shape or form for the money because you want to get rich, I'll be really honest, you're deluding yourself. This is not an easy way to make money. Yes, you will have a comfortable life, but it is not an easy way to make money. Dentistry is really challenging on an emotional level and a psychological level. It's not physically necessarily taxing, not necessarily for initially at least, but after many years, yeah, we tend to get, you know, bad necks and bad shoulders and bad backs if we're not watching our posture. The emotional and psychological load that we carry is largely invisible, and regrettably it has fed into this tradition, this very sad tradition where mental health in dentistry is very challenged. There was a survey that came out from Melbourne Uni in 2021, just after the pandemic, which I know was really challenging for everybody. So perhaps the results were a tiny bit skewed, but nevertheless, there were 1,600 respondents to this survey, and the results came to pass that nearly 30% of them in the 12 months previous had contemplated suicide. That's a phenomenal proportion of people in the one industry that ostensibly are either really miserable or really challenged in some way. My experience in how I've conducted myself through my career so far over the last 35 years, if you are in this job in dentistry just for the money, don't do it. You'll burn out really quickly. I'm not in any way interested and have never been, and I'm surrounded by people in this a range of people in this organisation. We are not interested in upselling treatment just to make money. We're not interested in overservicing. We're interested in health. We're interested in connecting with you and building trust. And I've worked and been around different organisations and in different workplaces where the KPI targets are pushed and pushed and pushed, i.e. you need to make a certain amount of money, or, you know, your job's at risk and you need to bill a certain amount every day. For us, that's not how dentistry works. And for me to be a dentist, ostensibly a healer, it's never been about the money. It's always been about the person who has had the courage to come and sit with me and be vulnerable and give me the privilege of actually entering into their personal space to help them. That I would never dishonour that or abuse it in any way, chasing the cash. So for me, dentistry is a vocation. And winding back to the original question, what on earth would make you want to do that? Because it's deeply satisfying to have a meaningful impact in the life of another human being. It's actually just really that basic. And it's interesting how I've, you know, through my life, I've come to understand that the truth is really very simple. So that's what made me become a dentist. I'm in love with the journey. It's had its challenges, but that's the whole point. It's not meant to be smooth sailing. And my legacy, certainly with Your New Dentist, will be to bring together a collection of people who are equally as vocationally passionate and reward them and support them and look after them so that we can break the generational patterns of trauma, of fear, of mistrust, of a lack of transparency, where, again, disease is the product and that we're intentionally keeping people sick so that we can harvest money off them. Nothing does my head in more than that, and that certainly won't be my legacy.